Thank you for joining us on this ceasefire moment as we read through Genesis 18 in the Literal Standard Version. And Yahweh appears to him, which is Abraham, among the oaks of Mamre, and he is sitting at the opening of the tent about the heat of the day. And he lifts up his eyes and looks, and behold, 3 men standing by him. And he sees and runs to meet them from the opening of the tent, and bows himself towards the earth. And he says, My Lord, if now I have found grace in your eyes, please do not pass on from your servant. Please let a little water be accepted, and wash your feet, and recline under the tree. And I bring a piece of bread and support your heart. Afterwards pass on, for therefore you have passed over your servant. And they say, So may you do as you have spoken. And Abraham hurries towards the tent to Sarah, and says, Hurry, 3 measures of flour, meal, and knead, and make cakes. And Abraham ran to the herd, and takes the son of the herd, tender and good, and gives to a young man, and he hurries to prepare it. And he takes butter and milk, and the son of the herd, which he has prepared, and sets before them, and he is standing by them under the tree, and they eat. And they say to him, Where is your wife Sarah? And he says, Behold, in the tent. And he says, Yahweh says, Return, I return to you about the time of life, and behold, to Sarah your wife of son. And Sarah is listening at the opening of the tent, which is behind him. And Abraham and Sarah are aged, entering into days. The way of a woman has ceased to be to Sarah. And Sarah laughs in her heart, and says, After I have waxed old, have I had pleasure? My Lord is also old. And Yahweh says to Abraham, Why is this? Sarah has laughed, saying, It is really true, I bear, and I am aged. Is anything too wonderful for Yahweh? At the appointed time I return to you about the time of life. And Sarah has a son. And Sarah denies, saying, I did not laugh, for she has been afraid. And he says, No, but you did laugh. And the men rise from there and look on the face of Sodom, and Abraham is going with them to send them away. And Yahweh said, Am I concealing from Abraham that which I am doing? And Abraham certainly becomes a great mighty nation, and blessed in him have all the nations of the earth. For I have known him, that he commands his children and his house after him, and they have kept the way of Yahweh to do righteousness and judgment, that Yahweh may bring on Abraham that which he has spoken concerning him. And Yahweh says, The cry of Sodom and Gomorrah, because great, and their sin, because exceedingly grievous, I go down now, and see whether according to its cry, which is coming to me, they have done completely, and if not, I know. And the men turn from there and go towards Sodom. And Abraham is yet standing before Yahweh. And Abraham draws near and says, Do you also consume righteous with wicked? Perhaps there are 50 righteous in the midst of the city. Do you also consume and not bear with the place for the sake of the 50 righteous who are in its midst? Far be it for you to do according to this thing, to put to death the righteous with the wicked, that it has been, as the righteous, so the wicked. Far be it for you. Does the judge of all the earth not do justice? And Yahweh says, If I find in Sodom 50 righteous in the midst of the city, then have I borne with all the place for their sake. And Abraham answers and says, Now, behold, I have willed to speak to the Lord, and I am dust and ashes. Perhaps there are lacking 5 of the 50 righteous. Do you destroy for 5 the whole city? And Yahweh says, I do not destroy it, if I find there 45. And Abraham adds again to speak to Yahweh and says, Perhaps there are found there 40. And Yahweh says, I do not do it because of the 40. And Abraham says, Please let it not be displeasing to the Lord, and I speak, perhaps there are found there 30. And Yahweh says, I do not do it, for I find there 30. And Abraham says, Now behold, I have will to speak to the Lord. Perhaps there are found there 20? And Yahweh says, I do not destroy it because of the 20. And Abraham says, Please, let it not be displeasing to the Lord, and I speak only this time. Perhaps there are found there 10. And Yahweh says, I do not destroy it because of the 10. And Yahweh goes on when he has finished speaking to Abraham, and Abraham has turned back to his place.